For September the 27th, 2019, we talk about Link's Awakening, World of Warcraft Classic, and we celebrate episode number 300. Welcome to level 300. My name is Kole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
I'm David Maysmith.
I'm Jala Prendez.
And I'm Ben Merkel.
And you're listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. And just completely catching us off guard, the road to 300 has brought us to episode 300.
Where the sidewalk ends, 300 speaking.
I can never tell which of his poems are going to be depressing, and I can't remember if that's a depressing one.
I think they pretty much all are. It's just, whether you've lived long enough to realize it.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. So we're rocking it 5 style. The last time we did this, I think the episode is still going on. We're gonna try and not make that happen, but it's a special occasion, and it's real fun to take a chance like this, and just get everybody on. Dennis, you're the one who's been away the longest. You were on the other side of the god dang world, weren't you?
Yeah, away the longest and away the furthest. Yeah. For very good reason. So celebrating 8 years of marriage, we went to Greece. The traditional gift for 8 years is bronze, and we took some creative liberties and said, let's just go somewhere from the Bronze Age.
Yeah.
And that worked out pretty well. So we did Athens, we did Paros, which I was not aware was an island before we went. I swear to God, my WoW server is Kirtonos, and I would have bought that before I bought Paros, and then went to Santorini, which is the one that's on all the postcards. Yeah. So while Santorini was very beautiful, it was like a beautiful Disneyland in that you are just asses to elbows the entire time, packed in. And the tiny little roads are really like queues for rides, except the rides are just gorgeous views. And so our favorite wound up being Paros.
Nice.
Yeah, but it was a great time. We did some hiking. We went into an ancient quarry, which was not part of the plan, but we just kind of audibled over to it, which I guess you can do that in Greece.
You didn't have to sign any extra waivers or anything?
Well, the cops are on strike. That's kind of what they do over there.
Oh, okay.
No. It was a wonderful time. Beautiful country, and I'm so happy I got to spend some time there. This was Sans Kids.
Have you played Assassin's Creed Odyssey?
I have not.
You need to now to tell us how 1-to-1 it is.
Okay, yeah, I'd be down with that.
just subtract 2,000 years from everything is what I would say. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, I'd be down for that. So that's what I've been up to. I did manage to play some games, even though I've been out globe-trotting, mostly in the time that I've been back. But it was a hell of a trip.
Nice. Well, it's good to have you back. I'm happy that you got to, 8 years. That is nuts, is what that is.
Blink of an eye, man.
Yeah.
Craziness.
Whew. Yeah. David, you were gone as well this past week. How are you? I'm
pretty good. Keeping on, bobbing and weaving.
Yeah. you generally say that either in the green room or whatever in this. It makes it sound like you're constantly under attack.
To be fair, I mean, I am statistically much more often under attack than most people.
Well, because of all of your martial arts training.
Yeah. I mean, it's consensual attack, but it's still attack.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. Nice. Jala, you've been away as well.
Yeah, I guess maybe. I don't know. So yeah, I told you guys last time that I was doing an event that was for 22 Too Many and Get Headstrong partnered with GoRuck. It was a tough light 18-hour endurance event that was held over in Austin. And I was kind of like, okay, well, this is going to be a really sobering event because, it's the whole purpose of it is to raise awareness for veteran suicide prevention and so on. And it actually turned out to be an absolutely phenomenal event. Cadre Shredder was amazing. I had heard a lot about him, and yes, his name is Cadre Shredder.
With a name like that, you have to go into the military.
The people that he trains called him Shredder because he is big into PT. So, yeah, and he is really built. So, like, he looks like a shredder. So there you go.
Was he also disappointed that Silent Hills was canceled?
See, I couldn't decide to go with that or to ask if he had a metal mask.
I absolutely gave him a patch that has the Shredder from TMNT helmet on it, and then also a shredder, like a cheese grater with a shredder head on it. Because I couldn't help myself, and I'm a nerd, so I had to. But anyway, he is absolutely phenomenal as a cadre. He led us through a bunch of different events that really brought the team together. He had us memorize everybody's name and a little bit about each other. So you start out as complete strangers, and over the course of this event, we ended up learning a lot about each other. There were exercises about trust. There were, different obstacles, literally obstacles. We had the event began. The start point was at an obstacle course race training facility. And so we hauled out a bunch of the obstacles, and then we had to get all of the bodies, all of the rucks, and a chain of sandbags, including 120-pound sandbags on down, that were all tied to a battle rope. We had to get all of everything over, under, through all of the obstacles without the sandbags touching the ground.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. And so he said to think about these obstacles as challenges that you face in your day-to-day life, such as anxiety and depression, or money troubles, family troubles, things like that. And he used it as a teaching tool to basically tell everybody, just like you cannot get through all of these physical obstacles that are in front of you right now by yourself, so too, you need to rely on other people in your day-to-day life when it comes to all of these other things as well that you face, these challenges that you face. Even if you are a strong person, even a strong person cannot do it by themselves, And some of the people who came were suicide survivors. They had attempted suicide and were saved and, lived at one way or another. And, they came to the event as well. And there were a lot of people who were not quite ready for that intense of an event. So we had to make sure that everybody that started finished, and, talk them through. There were people who were terrified of heights, and they had to get on a warp wall at the top of a warp wall and then try to go down the wrong way down a warp wall. Oh. And they were sobbing their eyes out, and everybody was coaching them through it. And we did this obstacle course at the very beginning of the event and then at the very end of the event. And by the second time, they had actually already conquered their fear so much that even though they were still nervous, they got through it a lot faster. And, they were able to get past that, push past all of that. And a lot of these people went above and beyond anything that they thought they could do. So it was very inspirational and, just a really awesome event that I was very glad that I was a part of. And I ended up, originally I said I was only going to do the 12-hour tough portion, but then I ended up just signing up for the light and staying and doing both events because I was that inspired and I was enjoying it that much. So I have lots and lots of pictures and stuff, and I posted a long post all about it on my social media, so you can find that in all the usual spots, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So, yeah,
fantastic.
That's what I've been up to.
That sounds like a really, this is a goofy word, a very enriching activity.
And it was so cool, and it was a custom event, meaning that it was a one-time thing. It's not like an annual event.
Oh, nice.
But I somehow got roped into helping out with trying to get it organized again to make it happen next year. So I am now on the small committee of 3 people that are trying to do that. And everybody who was at the event is also kind of backing us up and going to be helping out with it too. But we're the ones that are spearheading it. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
And this is a yearly deal?
It hopefully. We are trying to make it a yearly deal.
Yeah.
It was a one-time only event. So that is why we were trying to bring it back, because it was so transformative for so many people that we want to be able to have new people come and experience that and, support them in their push through, So.
Nice.
And basically, this event was like the most amazing event that I've ever done across the board. And that's running events, OCRs, rucking, whatever type of event I've ever done. This one was the best one. So.
Fantastic. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, always like hearing when something like that is successful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was very happy. What about Ben?
Ben, how about you?
What About Ben, the sequel to What About Bob?
Oh.
I had a good week. I was off work, so it made it even better, right?
Nice.
No, I came back to Cincinnati. One of my friends had a wedding. We arranged a bachelor party for him. We went camping down in Red River Gorge. That was a lot of fun. We acted like children, more or less. We got Nerf guns. We played video games. We went outside all of about 20 minutes, maybe, walked along a path, and then came back in and continued playing board games. So that was kind of silly, I guess. I don't know. But it was a gorgeous view. Like, we enjoyed our view from where we were. And then the wedding was good. I had to give a speech. I was super nervous about it. It went over really well, so I was happy about that. So very happy to have done all that, and now I'm happy to get back to work. So
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That sounds great to me.
Ask questions, Kole.
No, I don't necessarily have any questions about it. Like I think I forget if we said it on the air last time, but like I've been looking at doing cabins down there, just like getting a small cabin and going there for a week and just working on a project or something like that, just to disconnect. So I'm, envious, but in that senseless way where like it's not envious for any reason. Like if I wanted to, I could do it. I just don't. So I guess I will default to I'm happy you had a good time.
You don't do something sheerly for the fact of when someone asks, "Oh, why'd you do that?" You don't have a good enough answer.
Right. Very cool. And I haven't really been up to too much of anything. Just a lot of fall stuff. A lot of arranging appointments with contractors to come out and reseal coat my driveway and inspect my furnace before winter to make sure that just a bunch
Slow
of
down there. Wow.
You mean, yeah, see, like when you said fall stuff, I was like, what does fall stuff mean? And then you started talking. I'm like, oh, he means fall homeowner stuff.
Yeah, I feel like, strictly speaking, that's winter stuff.
Yeah.
It is preparing for winter stuff. Yeah. No, so I just been arranging all of that. Just profoundly boring, very, very upsettingly boring things, but it's fine.
Oh yeah, speaking about houses.
Seal coating or whatever.
It's just putting stuff over top of your asphalt so it doesn't degrade more. You do it every few years to keep your driveway in good shape. Yeah. Jala, you started a question as well.
I was just going to say, first off, a couple of things. One, I don't live in a place that's cold enough to actually care when it comes wintertime. Mm-hmm. So, for me, it's more often, is the AC working?
Yes.
But then the other thing that I was going to say is people may, speaking about weather, may be like, but Jala, you didn't mention Tropical Storm Irene. I'm fine. My house did not float away this time. We got flooded in for one day, but it did not come up the yard into the house or anything like it did during Harvey. Mm-hmm. So Jala House is fine. And the other listener that I know that is actually, he lives a few miles from my house. I have never seen him in person, but he's in my neighborhood. Anyway, He's fine too.
Cool.
I don't know of any other listeners that are in Houston proper. So I did not check on anybody else, but they're fine. And the people that I know, the few that had any damage, it was just like some water in the house, but they got it out pretty quick. So, they are relatively good shape.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it was scary to watch from afar.
Oh yeah, like there was a part of the freeway that completely collapsed going out of town. So like, yeah, there's some crazy stuff going on with that. And of course, like one of the main post office also took some major damage. So all the mail is now super delayed. So, it's a serious disaster. I mean, like it was considered a federal disaster, and FEMA is going to be involved now, but Jala House was fine. Yeah. So that's all I want to say about that.
That's good. Yeah. Well, even though it is episode number 300, we've got the usual kind of stuff for you. We've got, the grind. We have a multiplayer question, and then our end bosses here. Dennis, when do you want to do the thing that you put the poll out for?
Oh yeah, the Toady Royale. I figured that fits somewhere either at the beginning or the end of the multiplayer.
The grind. Let's do it at the end of the multiplayer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which leaves us with that bit of business concluded. Moving on to our first segment here. The grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the past period of time or so. I'm going to exercise a privilege here, and I'm going to go first.
Do it.
I have suppressed myself for all of your sakes for too long. 300, that's right. Dark Kole is coming out.
Oh no!
No. I've got a new game that came out here very, very recently, and I want to hop on that and it's just one as well. I picked up and have played a good portion of The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is it worth the hype? Is it good?
I am having an incredibly good time with it. I can understand somebody saying, whoa, $60 for that? Because it is a very, very faithful remake of a 26-year-old game, to the point where it does feel like a throwback. It does feel very slight in terms of, the dungeon design and things like that. However, I will say that if you have any affection at all for older Zelda, specifically pre-Ocarina stuff, or portable Zelda, extending through to like the Oracle games on Game Boy Color, or even like Minish Cap or something like that, this is absolutely going to be worth your attention because this is a very fun top-down Zelda game, which is just not something that we get at all. So when I say it's faithful, it doesn't change very much about the original Game Boy Zelda. I'm good with that because that was the first Zelda game I ever played on the Game Boy. Mm-hmm. And ever. Well, not just on the Game Boy. It was the first Zelda game that I had played. So I have a tremendous amount of affection for it. But, stuff is still in the same place that it was. As far as I can tell, the dungeon layouts are the same. You're getting the items that you're going to get at roughly at the same time. There's very little that I can tell that's like sequence broken. Everything is updated to be more smooth. Everything moves in 3D. It is not the same tile-based 2D kind of thing. The look of it has been updated, obviously. If you go and take a look at it, you will see that there's some real heavy kind of camera angle and camera effect stuff going on. They've taken a page out of the Octopath Traveler book, and they are rendering the entire thing as though it is tilt-shift photography. So it looks really cool. It's like you're looking at and controlling a Legend of Zelda diorama. Mm-hmm. Which I am all kinds of into. And with the exception of a couple of like weird performance problems where like the frame rate starts chugging or things like that, it is working pretty much without a hitch. Controls very smoothly. It's a lot of fun, and it is an extreme throwback to something I have an awful lot of affection for.
Nice.
Yeah. So good.
What's the playtime of it?
I have no idea. It probably would be 20 12 hours, something like that. Like, it is not going to be a Breath of the Wild style, 30, 40, 50 hour kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Like if I do a How Long to Beat on Link's Awakening, even going off of the first game. It's like a 15-hour game.
It seems like video games have caught up now with movies and are starting to do remakes of games now.
Oh, yeah.
Between Resident Evil 2 and this coming out this year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's probably arguable how necessary this was. It might be like, okay, yeah, so you can download and play the original Link's Awakening and the Game Boy Color update on the 3DS. They don't make the 3DS anymore. I would say that this is actually probably a bit more necessary because it was originally out on the Game Boy. Going back and playing Link's Awakening on the original hardware, you are very limited by the controls that you have available to you. You're doing an awful lot of like diving into menus and swapping items and things like that. Here, with the Switch's full complement of controls, you are able to map different items to different buttons in a way that just makes it easy to fire them off. You're spending much less time in menus, and I would say that alone makes this far more playable, more so even than like the aesthetic updates.
So do they adjust the gameplay for that? Because I remember that being a big element of the gameplay was only being able to use two tools at once.
It extends, so you have a dedicated button for your sword, and you have two two buttons that can be mapped to any of your items.
Okay.
Yeah. It hasn't gotten in the way. It hasn't made things like that much more challenging, specifically because like for most mini bosses and bosses, you're either engaging just with their gimmick or you are leaning on the one item that, you got in their dungeon, just like older style Zelda games.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you mentioned kind of the diorama thing. How is that handled with the side scroller segments?
Oh, it just goes to a side scrolling point of view.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And that actually brought something up. I think when we were talking about the announcement of this game, we had I think you, David, had asked like, oh, it'll be weird to see how they handle like all the Mario stuff that's in there, the Goombas and the Piranha Plants. Shy Guys are in there as well. Chain Chomps. It's all just in there. Like they don't change the chain chomp into a kind of dog that's on a leash. No, it's still just a chain chomp, and it's fine because they're there's no reason for them to change it. It's still just a dream that you're walking around in, so it doesn't like mess with continuity or anything. It's super charming in that way. It's like good.
The most important thing is protecting the Zelda continuity theorists. World.
Yeah,
I don't elaborate timelines and all that stuff.
I don't want to take anything away from them,
Yeah.
Hey, Nintendo made it canon.
That they did. I don't know that was a great decision on their part, but
Yeah, I just remember this game being deeply distressing to me. Just like the idea of being trapped in a dream. Like, I'm honestly not sure I would want to play it again.
Oh yeah, you're not alone. You're not alone. So somebody posed us a question about the ending on a recent WAF dispatch, and they also kind of view it as a pretty disturbing existential conundrum. What you were going through in that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't necessarily feel the same way, but I understand where you're coming from. Yeah. I'm trying to think of other stuff. Like it's faithful enough. Like I haven't tried it because I don't want my name changed. But like in the original Link's Awakening,
stealing.
Yeah. There's the one shop on the island, and there's something that is incredibly expensive, and very early on in the game, it is tough to get a lot of money. So you can pick up an item, or you can basically run around the shopkeeper, make him dizzy, and make him look in the other direction, then walk out of the building while he's looking the other way, carrying something. And if you walk back in, he will zap you, kill you, and your save file name, and thus your name in the game, will be changed to Thief. I'm positive that is the same that is exactly the same here as
there's
it was
no
in the
way
original.
that they cut that.
Yeah, it's such a memorable and disturbing portion of the original game. Yeah.
Did they? So I just saw a headline, someone complaining about the little crane game that's in it, like being incredibly cheap. Do you know anything about what that's about?
It's real fun to watch people get mad about it. That's what it's about to me. It's a crane game. It's supposed to be crooked.
See, I remember from the previous game, I remember it being vaguely frustrating, but I also remember like it's completely deterministic. It's not like an actual crane game where it's basically a carnival scam.
Yeah, so like you can pick something up and it looks like you've got it centered correctly. However, if it's off center or oblong, the actual grip of the crane mechanism on the object is pretty loose, so like it's physics modeled and it can jostle out of the claw.
Oh, okay.
Like,
so they did change that at least.
Yes. It's not entirely deterministic. I thought it was funny. I was laughing out loud. I was like, okay, you got me. 10 more rupees.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny. I don't understand getting like genuinely mad about it, but yeah,
Sure.
yeah. So yeah, I'm at the 3rd dungeon out of 8 or something like that, but I'm having a grand old time. It is incredibly breezy, a very beautiful game, older style Zelda play is something that I really enjoy. And it is nice to go back to it and to see it kind of preserved so well here while also being made really accessible. It's neat. I dig it. Any other questions about Link to the Past?
Oh.
Okay. Jala, you're up. You've been away. So
Okay.
I'll throw to you.
Sure. So I've only been playing a couple of things, and it's going to be pretty brief. The first one is I continued playing Lone Wolf Remastered. I did that on stream on Sunday. I did not stream the Sunday before that because I was at the event. But anyway, so I finished up Act 1, Blood on the Snow. And there was a big old boss fight, and it got pretty intense. I made a lot of faces. And
I saw your supercut. I saw your collage of them.
Yeah, I had a collage of faces that I posted just for everybody's, interest or whatever. So, I just posted a link for people in the Slack. That is the source faces. If you click the link and you follow it and you swipe to the next side, you'll see the crazy faces. All the crazy faces I made. So, anyway, I definitely recommend the archive for that because I got pretty into that last battle in particular. So anyway,
So when I saw on Steam that you'd been playing this, I looked it up, and the Steam page seems very, very convinced that I would have heard of this game before, and I definitely haven't. Like, what was it remastered from?
It is my understanding that it is remastered from the original mobile version of the game. Lone Wolf itself is a series of books, choose your own adventure books that was written by a guy named Joe Dever back in the day, and they were basically a half step between playing D&D and playing a choose your own adventure book, in that you had to write down a bunch of stuff, keep track of like your inventory and your health and everything, and it had like a stat sheet you had to go through with. Anyway, I didn't really play those books as a kid very much, just because I was like, I either want to play actual D&D or just relax with the choose your own adventure game, game book. But in either case, like, I saw this and I was interested and decided to play it. So if you want to check out more about it, you can definitely go to youtube.com/Jalachan and look at the archive of the last one I did and just, have a look and see what it's like. It kind of plays in the same vein as the sorcery games, but with actually semi-active battle sequences. Like, you select what move you're going to do, and then there are actually swipes and taps and things like that you have to do in order to execute the move correctly. And if you do not do it, then you failed, and you either do less damage or you just totally miss. You also have a chance to dodge, but you again have to react in time and click the button. So it's kind of QTE-ish, but it doesn't feel nearly as frustrating, and like the window for during which you can push your button or do whatever you need to do is a lot longer, so it's a lot more forgiving than an actual QTE, but at least in the standard version of it. So this game has 4 acts, and I think there are 3 chapters per act. And so I just finished Act 1. I will be starting Act 2 next Sunday. And then I will not be streaming for the first couple of weeks in October due to events, because I'm doing another 18-hour event, and then I'm going to be going to Dallas for like a 12-mile navigation event thing. I'll talk about it when it comes up. But anyway, so that's been fun. Definitely check it out. There's an archive of it. I look forward to playing more of the game. The combat is now getting more challenging, so that's why I say, like, I was into it, because during that whole sequence of boss battle, when they had all these enemies continually come up, like right when I was like, okay, I'm going to kill the boss, he blew a horn and then summoned more ads. And then I had to kill everything all over again. And like, I was very, very close to dying at one point, or actually a couple of times. I was pretty close to dying, but I managed to survive. It was pretty good.
Nice.
So, so that's the first one. Any questions about that?
No.
Good stuff.
All right. Awesome. Second thing I played was a game called Metropolis Lux Obscura. So it is a modernized film noir motion comic / adventure game visual novel thing that has a Sin City kind of vibe to it. That's what I mean by like modernized film noir. Mm-hmm. That kind of a thing. It has a match 3 puzzle fighting system. So, there's that. It's kind of like Super Puzzle Fighter in that way, except Super Puzzle Fighter was like a gem drop.
Yeah. Like a puzzle quest, right? Has a similar.
I never played Puzzle Quest, but okay, yeah. I will assume so. So I don't really have a whole lot to say about it. Your main character guy just got out of jail and is looking for whoever framed him, because of course you weren't guilty. And then you get involved with the mob and drug dealers, the red light district and stuff like that. I mean, obviously it's, film noir / Sin City type crap. So There you go. There's that. And it's got an interesting, art style to it, and I enjoy that aspect of it. And the match 3 part is actually really hard. Sometimes you are in there and you're playing against somebody who has a lot more health than you do, and it's like it becomes a really a strategy to set it up, move all the pieces in the correct way to where you can chain attacks and stuff like that. Because if you don't, you will not win. So it's kind of interesting. So, that's the thing.
Yeah.
And I don't have a whole lot to say about it because I only just recently started playing it. But definitely, if this sounds interesting to you, look it up and take a look at it and see what you think. I think there is a demo available, so you can give it a shot before you buy it.
Is it as porny as it looks?
There is a part where like you first go in and like one of the first places you go is a strip club where you go to see like your woman and who is a stripper. And so she's topless like right from the get-go. So yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah.
But,
this
Sin City. I mean,
was just waiting for you go to see a woman who's actually a plumber, but they had some backups at the strip club and she had to go take care of it.
Right.
Yeah, no. This this developer, or I guess this publisher, has published other kind of porny looking things. Not necessarily disqualifying.
Okay.
If somebody's going to go check that out, they should probably be aware.
Don't look it up at work.
Don't do it at work.
There's one called Yes Master that's a hidden object game about mind control of ladies, and there's another one coming up called Perky Little Things that is a hidden object game. That also looks pretty porny.
The later parts of this game are going to be real interesting. Okay.
No, I just,
right.
if it's fun, it's fun. And if the story's cool, the story's cool. I just, I want people
the story is like really, it's the same. Okay, like people usually don't go to film noir because they like the story. They just like the setting or the mood or the atmosphere or I don't know, whatever, the machismo. I'm not sure what you're in for, depending on who you are, but it's not going to be the story. It's always the same story. Come on.
Yeah.
Be real.
Yeah. No, you're going there because it, it's going to play in the tropes that you like. Yeah, this is definitely a gif of Santa Claus having sex with a lady.
Awesome.
Oh, no.
I can't wait to get to that part.
Oh, that's a different game. That's from Perky Little Things, release date 2019.
I'm like, why not Santa Claus in the middle of my mobsters? Okay. Like, I don't even know why that is, but now I need to know.
Yeah.
Does that put you on the good list or the naughty list? You know what? Don't answer that.
Everything's backward. No, but the art style looks really cool. I dig the art style quite a bit.
That's really what drew me to it in the first place was the art style. And, like I like visual stuff. So, and I like a puzzle game. So I was like, I will try it out and see.
Nice.
So, yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
Very cool. Let's see. Dennis, how about you? You've been away?
Yeah, I have. But that does not mean I stopped playing stuff. So I got a couple things to talk about. I'll start with World of Warcraft Classic, which I've been keeping up with.
Have you gotten into the servers yet?
Yes, I have.
Cool.
So we actually switched server. Like the group I was playing with made the call to go to one of the new servers that they introduced. Yeah. And that cleared things up pretty quickly. I did go back about a weekend and check on the original server I was on, Stalag, and there was still a wait to get in. Not as bad as before, but so I feel like switching was the right choice. And I'm actually enjoying the game for all of its inconveniences. There's a lot of fun to be had there, especially if you're playing with a group. So that's I'm up to level 25 now, I think, with my warlock. Just did Wailing Caverns last night, which is an infamously long dungeon. Level 20-ish. And despite all the kind of tropes and whatever the opposite of hype is coming in, people being like, oh, it's going to be forever, you're going to, buckle up. It was perfectly fine. Yeah. Like, with people who knew what they were doing and where they were going. We breezed through it pretty quickly, I felt like.
Awesome.
And was enjoyable the whole time. So that's good. I created my first drama by rolling need on something that if I knew a little bit more about stats, I guess I should have let the rogue take or something like that. So, felt really bad about that, especially because
You're lucky you didn't get swatted.
I know.
No.
In this day and age, I really am. No.
Did you see that guy just got sent to jail? By the way.
Yes. Yeah. I did. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Take us off.
So that was a moment, and it was a rando who had joined our group. I was playing with I think like 3 people I knew, and this was one of the 2 people that I didn't. It was just so funny to see the chorus of like, he's new, please forgive him, like it's so my bad, man, he's new, and like all these friends apologizing for me. I'm like, oh, I feel like such a heel. And what can you do except for type like, sorry man, I guess I have this thing now, that I literally, after everyone coached me on like
I thought they added the ability to like trade anything that was in anything that dropped. You could trade to your group members for like an hour or something.
They probably did, but this is WoW Classic, so
see that's
you will live in your shame.
They took out not just like the actual features, but the game working right.
They took out all the quality of life stuff. Save for a couple of changes. So technically the game is running on the new engine, but all of like the rules that it's following are for the old game. So I guess it's going to be less likely to have weird glitches, but it's going to be just as punishing. And half the time this is running from place to place simulator. Like you definitely spend a shit ton of time just looking at the landscape going by. Mm-hmm. Which, you know, if you're having a conversation with someone else, or you're just feeling like having a low key evening, that's perfectly fine, and it's its own kind of fun. Good excuse to catch up with friends. And I say catch up, but it's like every night you're talking to them, right?
Well,
so
yeah.
Good excuse to hang out with friends. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's World of Warcraft Classic. It's funny, like it's so weird that Puzzle Quest got mentioned earlier in the show, because while I was on vacation, that was the main game that I played.
Oh yeah.
Puzzle Quest 2. So go figure. It is match 3 game RPG style week here, I guess. And I started Puzzle Quest 2 a long time ago. It was back when I had like a 3G or something iPhone. Just forgot about it forever. And right before I went on vacation, I was like, I wonder what happened to that game. And it was still available, and so I downloaded it and played a good chunk of it.
I was surprised that it could still run.
Yeah, the screen dimensions are off.
Gotcha.
Or rather, there's kind of a black strip on either side. Mm-hmm. So it hasn't been updated, but yeah, it definitely still runs. I can't remember. Did I? I feel like I talked about having kind of my mana rotation as the assassin. Did I talk about that on the show?
Yeah, that rings a bell.
Okay, so I must have started it before I left for vacation then. Mm-hmm. So maybe I downloaded it in preparation for it. Yeah. But yeah, it's stayed fun. The one problem is that I've got that rotation set, and just none of the new spells look remotely interesting.
Oh, so you're getting all this mana, but
yeah, like I my verbs have stagnated. I'm just and it's kind of it feels good to pull off the combo that I've set up across the spells that I have, because you get these 2 kind of starting spells that have you doing quadruple damage on the other 3, and then you just cycle through those 3, which create extra turns that you can just in one turn deal an insane amount of damage. So that's fun, but aside from leveling up some equipment or upgrading some equipment, the RPG portion of this game is over. It's I don't see myself moving off of the spells that I've identified, and so it's just going to be a pure match 3 game. Yeah. Which maybe that's okay. I don't know. It's not the best thing, but I'm not crying about it. Mm-hmm. But played a lot of Puzzle Quest 2 while on vacation, and frequently without internet. So that really narrows down your options. The final game and the newest game that I've been playing, I'm really excited to talk about, though, which is Beat Saber, the VR rhythm game.
That is so good.
So freaking good. So this is DDR with swords. And honestly, like, do I need to say any more? Like, just...
I mean, you probably should explain it.
Sword Revolution, something like that.
Yeah. I think DDR with swords does a pretty good job. So they have, it's a lot of techno kind of music. I don't know if that's the right descriptor anymore. I don't know where the genre lines fall, but
yeah, it's a bit like electrically composed music that has a heavy beat. Let's just say, be as clinical as possible about it.
Exactly.
EDM.
Sure, let's go there.
I feel like there's a great amount of defensiveness around what is qualified as EDM. I do not feel comfortable making that assertion.
Stop gatekeeping, person who's feeling snobbish right now. It's some good dancing music, mm-hmm. and you put on your VR headset, and you're essentially like on the Guitar Hero-esque track that you all know and love so well. But what happens is, instead of notes flying down a fretboard, you have these boxes flying through the air towards you, and they're at all different positions and heights and distances from you, within arm's reach, and you're holding 2 lightsabers in your hand, one blue, one red. Every box is either blue or red, and every box has one side that is kind of an arrow on it, a white arrow, and you have to slice through the box with the right color in the right direction. in tempo with the beat, and generally it's all kind of formatted so that then it kind of creates this almost like you're conducting feeling, where the directions, the cut directions, and the colors all flow into each other, so you can get into a real rhythm. And my goodness, VR, I was showing off VR to a friend over the weekend, or sorry, on Friday, and it was kind of just trying to describe how VR games, really the core thing is just they feel cool. Like you're doing things that feel super cool, even if it looks dopey if you're watching someone doing it. And Beat Saber is 100% that. Like, it's a person just kind of flailing around with their arms. But when you are in it, you feel like I don't know, it feels so freaking good. I was going to say you feel like a rock star, but you're not playing an instrument.
No.
You feel like some kind of Tron-esque champion in an arena that's fending off boxes. I don't know.
Like I feel like I'm Raiden from Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance doing like a VR training. Yeah.
Exactly. It's Raiden showing off his sweet moves.
Yeah.
And man, it just it feels good in a way that's hard to put to words.
Yeah.
I'm playing on hard right now, and there's 2 difficulty levels above that. I tried going up to expert, and it destroyed me. I couldn't finish.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, so there's a big difficulty jump, but I feel like hard mode has enough space in it that you feel like you want to throw in your own extra dance moves as you're doing it, so you get to a little bit of break. And I find myself posing despite myself. I
mean, it's natural.
Yeah, you feel like a badass. You wanna act like a badass. Haven't quite worked myself up to doing some kind of like spin move or whatever.
Right.
And when that does happen, I'll probably wind up punching my wife in the face as she's walking through the room.
Yeah,
So,
I would recommend setting up like some safety cones. In the vicinity of where you're going to be playing this. Yeah,
it's a dangerous game here. But equally as fun is I used that as the first game to have Luke and Milo try VR.
Ooh.
And I uploaded a video of that to the Levels Slack and the parent Slack that we have. It was adorable. You can set it to a mode where cut direction doesn't matter. And it's just the color matters, and then you set it to easy, so there's not that many boxes, and they can get it. Luke certainly could get it. The problem was that he got excited about these boxes flying towards him, and that it's easy, so it's far enough apart that he can kind of see them coming, and he kept on wanting to run forward to get the boxes.
Oh yeah, no, stay still, buddy.
Which had him essentially running up and throwing punches at the TV, which sort of shut that down real fast, or at least coached him back.
Right.
But that was absolutely delightful, watching them get to play, and then just trying to explain to a 5-year-old like how VR works, like just the very innocent question of like, how come it's all around me when I have the helmet on? Like, oh shit, there's like the layers that you got to go through to even get close to an answer on that is kind of tough. So you talk about the way that eyes process images in 3D, and then how a camera might help track movement, and then it's just crazy.
Don't say it's just magic. Don't say it's just magic. Don't say it's just magic.
No, straight far from that one. I don't think they understood my explanation, but they did get an explanation.
Yeah.
So yeah,
did you understand your explanation?
No, definitely not. Let's just say I hope my explanation of sex goes a little better.
It's magic.
So let me tell you about Santa Claus and.
Yeah. Let me buy you some ice cream. Let's talk about this later.
I just bribe them.
And then you get to VR porn, and you got to fit those things. So that's going to be a whole nother mess.
When a man loves a computer very much. Yeah. I mean, like the thing that wowed me the most about Beat Saber and kind of about VR in general, like I got it because I was really curious about it, in the PSVR seemed like the best entry point, right? But I was still mostly planning on treating it as a Tetris Effect machine, but I got a free copy of Beat Saber with the bundle.
Nice.
Yeah, and so I fired it up, not really knowing anything about the game, and I had a lot of fun with the game. But like the persuasive moment for me, that like, oh yeah, like some developers can make this work. You're holding the sabers in in first person. You look at them, and the first thing that I tried to do was cross the beams, right? To touch the beams. And when you do that, you get like force feedback, and like it recognizes when they're touching, and it feels like a facsimile of pressing the two lightsabers against each other. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is like tactily really cool, and they accounted for this in a neat way. I am much closer to being sold on this.
Yeah, the compulsion to like clap them together at the end of a song is just so strong. Yeah, absolutely. And then when you're in the flow and just getting that little haptic feedback with every note that you hit, it's perfect.
Yeah.
I was also impressed, like if you kind of watch through your swings, I was expecting some kind of stutter or breakdown because it's, something that's moving very fast, very close to you. You're smacking it apart with a very quick motion of your hand. And I don't know if it's programming or just the game is simple enough that it can run it really well, but it is incredibly smooth.
Yeah.
And it would be a nightmare if it was anything but, because VR. But I was just even so impressed by how smoothly it ran, or how well the world held its shape around me as I got to some of those close in, quicker movements.
It's an incredibly good use case for VR, because it does have you standing up. It is not exploration based. The stuff is coming at you. Which I think makes a huge difference for it. And it is so responsive like it is. Like Beat Saber would be the game I would put in front of somebody if I was like, hey, VR is actually really cool. It wouldn't be something like Fallout VR or whatever, where it has the potential to be, just real, just not smooth, This is smooth. This makes the case perfectly, I think.
Yeah, I think this goes right alongside Super Hot.
Yeah.
As the killer apps. And then shortly behind it is the Ace Combat Flight Sim, but that is not Move Controller VR. That is sit and hold a controller VR.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, no, thank you for reminding me this exists, because I forget that I have a PSVR sometimes.
Yeah. It certainly had the VR off the shelf way more than it has been in the past.
Nice. Does it feel like a valid workout when you play it?
No, not even close. No. I mean,
okay.
DDR is closer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just by nature of, honestly, you can pretty much be flicking your wrists and still get a good clear motion like the game demands of you. Oh, that's the other thing. It scores you not just on hitting the notes correctly. It scores you on how clean down the center you cut each note.
Yeah.
So you can hit it, but hit it, three quarters of the way up or at a weird angle, and it counts. It won't break your combo, but you get a lower score. So you can make those clear swings without too much motion. But of course, because you're getting in it and you want to feel like a badass, you do big swings. And playing on expert, I don't know. That could be, that could turn into a real shake weight kind of workout there.
Yeah, to me, it's more about like just nimbleness and fast reaction time, dexterity more than anything. Than it is about like anything genuinely aerobic. You're not really moving your body. You're just going to move your arms.
Now that you say that, though, I want to go grab some weights and like do weighted Beat Saber. That's probably a great workout.
See,
I'm got a couple of 5-pounders out here.
That needs to be our startup.
Yeah.
We're going to take an already existing game.
That could be really bad for your joints.
How do we maximize the chances that we break the TV?
Yeah, Jala's trainer note, don't do that with anything more than 3 pounds. And also don't lock your elbows if you do.
Yeah. Be a real good way to get bursitis, I think.
Yeah.
At best. Huh. Cool. Beat Saber. Yeah.
And that's everything I've been playing.
Cool. Let's see here. Ben, how about you?
Yeah, I got 2 small ones and a big one, but only a small part of it, if that makes sense. So over the trip, I played 2 different games that I really liked with some friends. We did Slay the Spire, but like a group run through of the game, where we basically just talked about every decision out loud, like which card to take, which card to upgrade, that sort of thing. And that was a lot of fun. That was a lot more enjoyable than I thought it would be. There were some good conversations about it. Even people who are like aren't into deck building games or whatever could like watch it and enjoy it and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Nice. So that was pretty fun. The other game that I had not heard about that we had a whole bunch of fun with was called Duck Game. It came out like 5 years ago. Are you guys familiar with this?
And this is not Untitled Goose Game.
No.
Correct.
Yeah.
It is
I am confused.
It's from Adult Swim Games, I think was the publisher.
Oh, yep, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Okay. So it's like a 4-player game, and the basic premise is you go and try and find a gun, and you try and shoot the other players. And so they have like Mario-style boxes where if you jump on them, something will get dispensed on top of it, and you can go pick it up. But there's a whole bunch of creativity that they have with like the level design of each of the ones. So for example, like on the one level, what you can do is it's like a spider web type gun. So when you shoot somebody with it, they're kind of like held down. They're in a ball, and then you can go and pick them up and throw them off the map if you want to kill them. But they can immediately like start tapping a whole bunch to try and break out of it. There's also like Nerf guns on that same map, which don't functionally kill anyone. But if somebody's wrapped up, you can shoot it with them. It'll slide them over, so you can try and like combo it off. It's just a whole bunch of fun. It was a really sweet party game. I don't know. It's really quirky. There's a lot of weird levels, I guess, but it's a whole bunch of fun. There's a dedicated button to just make your character quack at any point in the game. So frequently people will just spam that to be annoying or just to be funny or whatever. Anyway, so huge recommendation if you're looking for like a party game, if you're having like a LAN party or just a Friday night play with friends type games or whatever. I guess along the same lines, we played a little bit of Ultimate Chicken Horse. I think I probably mentioned that game before. That's another good multiplayer game.
That's the platformer where you're trying to sabotage each other.
Kind of, yeah. It's like, so this is a different game, Ultimate Chicken Horse. That's one where, it's a simple, you start at A, you need to get to point B, and at the start of each round, you're given an item. You can place it anywhere on the map. It could be a platform, it could be a trap, it's anything. But the point of the game is you want to make it so that you can get to the end of the map, but nobody else does. Because if everyone makes it to the end, nobody gets any points. But if some people get there and others don't, then the people who get there get points.
Nice.
And so there's this weird like acceleration where the level gets harder and harder as you keep adding like obstacles around the map. And so eventually the items that they give you are bombs, which just blow up obstacles around the map. That's a really creative and fun game too. Anyway, those are the small things that I played. The other game that I started was Borderlands 3.
Oh yeah.
However, I've only played like 1 to 2 hours of the game. So I've played like the intro mission, and I've played like the second like bigger mission, and I've kind of explored the starting area a little bit. I don't really have a strong opinion on it yet, outside of it looks and feels very much like Borderlands 2. Which in one sense is a good thing because that was a fun game to play. But in the other sense, it's like that game came out 6 years ago. So it's like, it's kind of weird that there's not as much like updates to the game, or it doesn't feel like fresh at all, you know? No. So I don't know. So I guess on the one hand, I'm like a little bit worried that the game will rely solely on its writing to be a good game, as opposed to the game, like the updated gameplay or updated mechanics being interesting, because they don't really exist yet. So I don't know. So we'll see how that one goes. I guess I need to put more time in it before I have an opinion on it.
No.
Is any of your qualm on that front kind of aesthetic? Borderlands is one of those games where it came out and you're like, oh, this is one of those aesthetics that's going to look good, 50 years from now. But the unintended result, 3 sequels in, or however many, is that they don't really have anywhere to go with it.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't. I don't know. I'd like to see a side-by-side comparison, I guess, of Borderlands 3 versus Borderlands 2, because it just doesn't look maybe as clean, I guess. I don't know. It just doesn't. I guess I'm not impressed by the graphics in the same way. Like when I played Borderlands 2, I thought it was cool looking. You know what I mean? Like it was like, oh, this is stylish. It still looks good, but like now it's like, oh, this is the style, and it's a little bit clunky maybe looking, or it's like, I don't know. I don't know. I guess I don't know how to describe it much more than that, or I'm not articulating it well. But
is it subject to next gen clutter, where it's like, okay, Borderlands 2, was just a really clean looking world that had this cool aesthetic, whereas Borderlands 3, they feel like they needed to add more stuff, and now it's kind of gotten cluttered.
Maybe part of it is this too, is that at the beginning of the game, you're introduced to characters that are the same from Borderlands 2, or at least it's like the Vault Hunters are all different, but you're introduced to two characters that were from Borderlands 2 that you already know pretty well, and so it's like, oh, okay, this is just like the same thing and the same jokes, at least with these characters, So that's like a little bit of a source of disappointment as well.
Do they do the same thing from Borderlands 2, where it's like, it seems like only the characters from the previous games get to have a personality?
Well, I'm not sure because I don't know. I've met two characters from the previous game. They kind of introduced what the enemy thing is, but it's not like a character like Handsome Jack. At least it hasn't developed into that yet. And then there's the Vault Hunters. So the Vault Hunters haven't been fully developed yet, so I don't know if they're good or bad characters. So there's not really much there. You know what I mean? Yeah.
There's surprisingly little development of the main quote unquote Vault Hunters in each game, at least as I've seen.
Yeah, that's my point. They don't get to have personalities until they've already been in a game.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, maybe that's the case. I don't know. So anyway, but I've only put 2 hours in the game, so I'm not too, I don't feel too strongly about this one way or another because I know I need to put more time into it before I make any judgments. So, yeah.
What kind of character are you rolling as?
There were two. I was the turret guy in the Borderlands 2, and I wanted to do something close to that. So I think there were two different options in this one. There's like one that has robots, and there's one that has like animals that might be robots.
I love the uncertainty.
So I picked the guy who has robots, and he can also and he can also disappear. I know, it's really helpful. The weird thing, or maybe the interesting thing in this one, is they basically have two kind of orthogonal developments. There's a certain ability that you have that's kind of like passive, I guess, or at least for this class, it's like a summon that you can have, and then the other ability that you can have is some sort of like action on top of it. So for me, I have a summon that's like some sort of like animal that runs around and fights people, and then the other ability that I have is you can turn invisible for a short amount of time, so you can kind of escape a bad situation, and then while you're invisible, you can do 3 shots that are like critical damage. So, and then there's like different perks that like build on top of getting crits and stuff like that. So that was kind of the direction that I wanted to try and go. But that's like, that makes it much more interesting. And this is just for the single character. There's basically 3 different trees just for that character.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that actually seems cool, especially when I explained it. It seems like there's more things you can play around with there.
I mean, I didn't play very far in Borderlands 2. That feels like, having 3 different branches you could go down, or 3 different specialties. That feels like a lot more than was previously available.
Yeah, and I would have to think about what the math is of that, of how many different combinations you could have between those things. I guess it's 9 since they're independent. So there's like, with a single person, there's like kind of 9 different things you develop. But I guess 6 of those would be really hard. The ones where they're on 2 different branches, the action and the passive thing. But I think that's actually what I'm doing. Is I picked those on 2 different branches, but I decided to just do the upgrades on one of those branches and thought that would be good enough. So we'll see if that works out or not. But yeah.
And are you playing any co-op?
No, I wanted to play through the game first on my own, so I hear like the story beats, and then like I'll go back and play with friends if people are into it. So
okay, yeah. And are you on PC or something else?
I got it for PS4, and I actually downloaded a digital copy of it because it was completely sold out in my area. So I would have needed to spend more time than I wanted to find it, as opposed to just downloading it. So
you broke your rule.
I have zero interest in playing Borderlands 2, but the list of cool people that are playing it is steadily growing, which makes it difficult for me to be like,
stay away. Yeah,
probably, yeah.
Word.
Cool. Borderlands 3.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That's all I got.
cool. David, how about you?
Sure. So I haven't had a whole lot of time to play. I got to the second world in Remnant, and the game definitely goes off the rails in a really in some really cool ways. So that's kind of fun, and they change up the actual way that your enemies approach combat to a degree that I think is pretty compelling.
Yeah.
But really not a whole lot I can say about that other than things that would kind of ruin the story. Other than that, been playing still a lot of Warframe, and I kind of feel like there's not a lot I can say about Warframe that, like, in kind of a, I don't know, in a, grind would be real compelling. So I feel like it might be better to just like note some of the cool things I've seen in it. Some of my favorites are, I found out one of the main enemies you come up with against a lot are these bipedal robots that called moas because they look like ostrich type things.
Okay.
And apparently, if you play in any of the ice levels, when they're idling, they'll actually shiver from the cold.
Okay.
Which is just like a kind of a weird feature that someone started to add. One of the other things I really enjoy is all of the voice acting in the game is all done by the various employees at Digital Extremes as opposed to actually being voice actors.
Okay.
How
does that manifest itself?
I mean, for the most part, it really doesn't. It's just kind of endearing overall. Okay. Although
so Hellblade is was like the secretary or something that they had as a stand-in, and then she was amazing, so they kept her.
That's you find talent.
Yeah.
So but one of the things I love is I've found a YouTube video that so I guess for background, the character, two of the prominent characters, the Lotus is kind of your mission controller, is the person who gives you all of your objectives. The player base refers to her as Space Mom. Whereas the character, the Shadow Stalker, is, I guess, sort of the game's equivalent maybe of like Mr. X or something like that. It's just a character that after you kill a boss, he'll start coming after you, and so he has a small chance to appear in any missions you take on.
Okay.
So I find someone posted on one of the fan sites some video that is the Shadow Stalker sneaking up on the Lotus. However, it's literally the Digital Extremes employee that voices the Shadow Stalker sneaking up on the employee that voices the Lotus.
Oh no!
Which is really, really funny. Other than that, I maxed out Reputation with the Fortuna faction that are basically a faction of one of the main enemy groups are the Corpus, which are like hyper-capitalists. And so Fortuna is a group of rebel like debt slaves, basically, that they basically, in order to get employment, you have to more or less replace most of your body with robotics. And then, you have to go into so much debt that to get those robotics that once you have employment, all of your pay goes to paying off the debt.
Oh, it's like Deus Ex.
Yeah, exactly. And so I maxed out a faction with them. And when you do, you get some really, really good. They pull out some really good body horror stuff. That's completely untelegraphed. It's just like all of a sudden, once you have full faction, things are different. And I really appreciate it.
Nice.
I feel like that's 90% of Warframe is completely untelegraphed. Like they added this weird feature. It's called Warframe.
Yeah, exactly. Also, I feel like, if you're going to get into it, Dennis, now would be the time, because with their in-game, music stuff, they're currently having a composition competition.
Call me when they have a VR mode. And how do they not have a VR mode yet?
Do you realize how incredibly sick you would get?
Yes, I want it.
Like, one of the things that is really random is I've now gotten to the point where I literally don't run or walk anywhere. It's because it's faster to, drop into a slide, immediately jump, which when you're crouching and jump, you do what's called a bullet jump, which is basically like, a super powerful like spinning jump. And if you just chain those, that's actually the fastest way to get around. So literally, I'm ninja flipping everywhere.
Nice. Yeah. Have you messed around with any of the Guitar Hero stuff, or is that for particular classes?
So it was originally for a particular class. It's now no longer is, but I haven't really messed with it.
Yeah. And is that all for you?
Yeah, that's it.
Cool. Well, I think it's time for the multiplayer. Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and then you answer it. Dennis, what is the question that you asked the nice people?
Yeah, for 300, I thought we'd stay close to the heart. We say every week, this is a podcast for people who love video games. So I just wanted to hear about a single moment or story that best crystallizes why you love video games.
Yeah. I'll get us started here with Devin, who says, the final mission in Mass Effect 2. As a kid, gaming gave me a multitude of emotions and wonder. As an adult, this was the first time I got serious chills due to the intense build-up and eventually breath-holding conclusion. The entire game, hell, the whole trilogy, was brilliantly done, with this original story completely drawing me in. But that mission, the music, the scenery, the determination to succeed, everything. It's a moment I'll forever remember. Yeah. It's a big final exam. How good of a friend are you with all these folks? Yeah, I want to replay those. I probably won't do it again until it's time to do it for WoF. But yeah, I miss Mass Effect. Those are fun.
I've gotten probably 30 or so hours into Mass Effect 2 on 3 separate occasions.
You never beat it?
No, I can't. I don't know what it is. I just always peter out. Yeah.
I'm surprised you went back to it after that burglary, took all of your progress.
Yeah. That was rough. My sister got into it, my younger sister. Oh, that's what brought me back.
Neat. Let's see here. Jala, what does Alexander say?
Alexander says, in 1999, I was in a KB Toys and I see the Kazuma Kaneko drawn cover of Persona 2. The camera pushes me in on me as Dreamweaver starts playing. I begged my parents for it. I fell into that game. I don't remember anything from the following month that didn't happen in that game. Years later, I'm an occultism-obsessed psych major. I am thou, thou art I, indeed.
Nice.
Very good. Yeah, that was a good cover on Persona 2. The one that came here anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see. David, what does Ollie say?
Ali says, I play RPGs with my students, and last year we started playing Fallout on the PC. Each week, a different person takes charge, and while they listen to advice, they get to make the decisions. It's so much fun to watch the kids take charge, and you get to see the different ways they tackle problems or deal with people. It helps me remember what I love about games in the first place. Freedom to be something different from what I am in real life. P.S. It's also a good keep on their good side indicator. Some of those kids like to go hard. I feel like how does that not just end up with like the third kid just nuking everyone?
I mean, Timmy's intense.
I would say it's probably ended up that way a couple times.
Timmy is intense. Yeah, that's good. I like that as a group activity. Wow, David, you just shared that GIF of Warframe, and that like there's something about the low frame rate of it that is making me motion sick looking at it.
Sorry.
No, don't worry. It's on me and my broken equilibrium. Yeah.
To be fair, though, that is a fairly accurate representation of most of Warframe.
It's probably better when you're in control of it, but yeah. Let's see here. Ben, what does Lindsay say?
Lindsay says, my thing has always been being with your friends and playing next to each other or talking about it on the playground. I learned cheats, combos, fatalities, and even myths surrounding my favorite games. I still have a few of those friends, and lately we have been discussing Borderlands 3 on what crazy thing we found. Gaming can get old, but friends talking to each other about games never gets old.
Man, that is an episode 300-esque answer right there.
Yes, it is.
Right.
Matches the thesis. Mm-hmm. Dennis, what does Greg say?
He says, I knew from a very young age I was interested in history, as things like planes and tanks and ships fascinated me as a kid. Can you guess I was a huge Transformers and GoBots kid growing up? But it never really clicked for me until the late 80s and early 90s when I was around 13 to 15 years ago. Games like Nobunaga's Ambition and Romance of the Three Kingdoms for the NES and Civilization for the PC really taught me a lot about the time periods they were set in, as well as also teaching things such as geography, politics, religion, psychology, and urban planning, as well as history. The manuals for these games not only did a great job explaining the time period and the forces that shaped it, but also gave a list of suggested reading. Oh, that's brilliant. Of suggested reading that the developers used to make the games and encouraged you to read it if you wanted to know more. I loved the games, so I went to my local library, remember those, and did so. It led me to realize history was my best and favorite subject, and I went on to major in it in college and grad school. Never let said it be a dumb video game can't teach you a hell of a lot and change your life.
Nice.
Well said.
Yeah. Old strategy games. They'll do it. Yeah. David writes, as the youngest of three brothers, I used to get beat up a ton. Although we are close now, we only used to get along on the premise of shared interest in video games and music. My oldest brother came home one day with a CD of A Boy Named Goo and Beyond Oasis for the Genesis. Not only are those two pieces of media inextricably linked in my mind, but those few days of consuming both remains one of my happiest childhood memories. Not sure if Beyond still holds up, but it's a uniquely special game to me all the same. A Boy Named Goo. What is that? Oh, by the Goo Goo Dolls. Okay. Huh. Weird. What was on that? Yeah, name. Okay. Yeah, that would be the single off of there that I would know. Yeah. Sorry, I just yeah, there are always those associations for sure. Yeah, and I can't speak to whether or not Beyond Oasis has held up. It's probably okay.
I only very vaguely remember that game.
Yep.
So I have no idea.
What kind of game was it?
It was a game.
Oh. Jala, what does David say?
David says, when I was in my sophomore year of high school, I got an assignment to write a story about one of my fondest memories. This was supposed to be done in class and was being treated as our 9-week final test. I had recently broken up with my first love at the time and spent the first 15 minutes of class trying to remember when I'd felt joy. It then clicked, and I outlined the plot of Chrono Trigger, starting with my mom waking me up, going to a fair, meeting a girl, losing her, rescuing her, and ending with saving the world. I then explained in the end that it was all a video game, but sometimes it helps to go to a fantasy world in order to soften the blows of this world. I got an A+ on the paper, by the way.
Cool.
That's great.
Congratulations on the A+ many, many years ago. I didn't mean to take away the gravity
if
of it.
If it weren't for that A+, man, your life would have gone a completely different direction.
It was a very sweet story, and I'm happy you shared it. Yeah. Let's see. David, what does Paul say?
Paul says, finding out that Sheik was actually Zelda was a mind-blowing moment when I first played Ocarina of Time. It meant more than it would in a movie because I'd really been going on a journey with them. And beyond the surprise, Zelda finally wasn't a helpless princess waiting to be rescued.
Yeah, it's a cool moment. Yeah. And finishing things up, Ben, what does Ruki say?
Ruki says, in Portal 2, the part where he kills you. When the chapter card comes up with the part where he kills you, then Wheatley says, this is the part where he kills you. Then you see an achievement pop up, the part where he kills you. I love this moment beyond all reason, and after thinking about it for a while, I think it's the achievement that puts it over the top. The use of the achievement system in a completely unintended way as a punchline takes you out of the game in a good way and humanizes the developers. I can just imagine how much fun they were having setting it up and would have loved to have been in the meeting where they came up with that.
It's very good. I love that kind of redundancy. It will always work for me in humor. Yeah. And now we can do our answers for this. I'll just restart the original rotation here. Real quick for mine, the original Silent Hill. Pretty stereotypical answer for me, but I remember renting it shortly after it came out. I was like doing a sleepover at a friend's, and their mom took us to rent a game to play. Like, oh, Silent Hill. Like, I saw the ad for this in the back of like Metal Gear Solid or whatever. This will be cool. We got through that opening where you leave the crashed car and then walk down the alley and get to the part where the body is crucified, and then all those demon children come up and hack you to pieces. And it scared me so bad. It scared both of us so bad. It's like, we're not going to be able to play this anymore. So we had to take it back and return it. And I didn't really come back to it until, a couple of years later when Silent Hill 2 came out, and I played and beat that. But the idea that a game could affect me so harshly, and just with such a magnitude that it extended beyond, turning it off. That was the first time it felt that strong. And I don't know that I've ever been as scared of a game since then. But that was a moment where it's like, oh yeah, like this can really have an effect on you. It can leave an impression, and that is cool and good. And, cemented a love for a genre and for games in general.
Cool.
Jala, how about you?
Well, I have to say that I had a few answers, but my answer that I'm going to go with is going to be Planescape Torment, the final decision of the game, where your choice dictates whether there is actually an end boss fight or not. Mm-hmm. And it's basically all about self-discovery and all this other stuff. And the entire game has a lot of really unique and interesting ways that it kind of foils your expectations, but that ending especially does, because it's a video game. You're not expecting to have the options that you do at that point in the game, and it's a great way that they used the medium to push home the point that they're trying to make throughout the entire game. So I am always fascinated whenever I come across a game that does something like that. Another example of that would be Hatoful Boyfriend, when the game changes from a silly dating sim to a crazy post-apocalyptic murder mystery and turns everything just upside down. And like, even at the end of the game, like it just kind of like leaves you with some unexpected feelings you weren't expecting to have at that point. Like when you first rolled into this silly looking, cute game about dating birds, that's kind of a thing. So anytime that a game really uses the medium and then does something unexpected with it, that is a time that I'm like 100% on board to, pay attention to it and see what else this developer or this team is working on. So
nice. Yeah, I like both of those answers. Not that everybody needs to please me. Yeah. Let's see. David, how about you?
Yeah, I think it would probably have to be the original Dragon Warrior / Quest. Mm-hmm. Just I know that that game, really captured my imagination, and just I don't know, I feel like it really did a good job of getting across the idea of being in a kind of this fantasy adventure. The original Zelda would be a very close runner for that as well, especially since I played both of those at about the same time. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think one of those.
Cool. Ben, how about you?
Yeah, so I read this question before I went to work this morning, so I had some time to think about it. I think the thing that video games provide for me is a sense of immersion and kind of like agency, being able to choose things. So I think a video game that kind of crystallizes it for me would be in Modern Warfare 1, the scene where a nuke's going to go off and you have a couple minutes to just crawl around on the ground before it happens. Gives you both like a very good immersion, but also like choice, quote unquote, of what you're doing. Just kind of like the Modern Warfare games in general kind of have a lot of that. So I think that's what best does it for me.
Nice. Yeah, pretty impactful moment. What I like about that is that there really isn't a choice. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah,
the nuking scene in particular.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Dennis, round us out.
Yeah. So I was thinking about it when I asked it and didn't have an answer in my head. The first thing that came to my mind was actually playing Silent Hill 2 in college.
Oh yeah.
And that's the first, like, typically I avoid horror like it's a horror movie. But playing it in the dark intentionally with like all the lights off, the one hallway with just like the breathing in it where I knew exactly where I needed to go, but I was too scared to go down the hallway, was just a really unique experience. I thought about getting a multi-tap for the first time so I could play CTR with both of my brothers. That was awesome. And then I talked about it early on the episode, showing Luke VR for the first time and like having that feeling like I can remember the first time I used internet. I wonder if this is kind of going to be that moment for him. I don't know. But as I thought about all of it, the thing that I came down on finally for like why I love video games so much was actually the end of The Walking Dead Telltale game for me. And I don't know if you guys remember, but that game comes down to kind of one very dramatic choice at the end. And I made a choice I wasn't expecting to make. Mm-hmm. And it was I remember it vividly. It was during the day. Jen and the boys had gone out to run errands, and I knew I was close to the end of the game. So I was like, I'll finish it while they're out.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. and so I got to that moment, and just what I love about video games is they're this amazing engine for generating empathy. And I made the choice that I was not expecting to make, and like then just had to sit there and process like why did I just do that? Like what, and kind of all the hours and hours of investment in these characters and the decisions leading up to it that all got me to that place, and it just hit me in a huge way. And so Jen came home a little early, to me just absolutely a puddle sitting in front of the TV and just blubber crying. Like it was ugly. But just in that moment to like truly experience things from an unexpected perspective, or to be put in a place that just you can kind of inhabit and understand in a way that I don't think any movie could have gotten me to, is really, really cool. And that's what I love about video games.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. At least 5 times during this, I have thought, man, I needed to play X or Y or Z.
Yeah.
Yeah. But alas, it is not to be. Thank you for putting that question up, Dennis. If people want to participate in this in the future, they should go to facebook.com/thelevelpodcast on Monday afternoons. But we are not done yet, because Dennis, you decided to put out a brief little poll.
I did, yeah. So we have some fun every year for, I could not believe when I looked it up, the last 5 years.
Yeah.
We've done the Title of the Year award. And so we asked people to go in and rank what their favorite Title of the Year winner was. And so I don't know if you guys still have the link to the results, but I figure we'll just read it off in reverse order here.
Yeah. So let's see here. These are the winners from the previous 5 years, and we have chosen the winner of winners. Let's see here. So I will pick the bottom one here, which is Nobody Puts Baby in the Fridge. I have no recollection of what the context for that is.
PT. The refrigerator that's swinging around on the ceiling.
Gotcha. Okay. Jala, how about number 4?
Number 4 would be Chrono Trigger Warning.
This is a surprise snub.
Yeah, that was real popular that year. It was. Yeah, I think that had to do with like 3 people responded to a multiplayer question with something about Chrono Trigger. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see, David. What is number 3 here?
So number 3 is Stop Talking. I Want to Die.
Yeah.
What was the context for this?
Jala, I think you were talking about Keep Talking, Nobody Explodes.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. It was the slightly darker version of that game.
Ben, what is the next one here?
Number 2 is The Streets Were Paved with Children.
I have no idea what that was.
I don't know what that was
this
from
one
exactly, but it's funny.
And Dennis, what is the Toady Battle Royale winner?
Yeah, number 1 by a landslide is In Space, No One Can Hear You Jam.
Yeah.
This is a stupid show, you guys. Oh man!
Put In Space, No One Can Hear You Jam on my tombstone, for real. So proud of that.
That's very good. Yeah. So thank you everybody for voting in the Title of the Year. I guess what the polls over the years.
Yeah, well, the for Title of the Year, over the years. This is I guess we're establishing this now as something that only happens every 5 years.
I know, we're halfway done.
Even then, yeah, good Lord, we 300 episodes. The Title of the Year started well into the show. So.
It did, yeah.
Incredible stuff.
Yeah. So In Space, No One Can Hear You Jam. Somebody do a needlepoint sampler of that. I've got the needlepoint sampler you had made for me for Christmas up on my wall by my office. The Forget It, Jake is just a turtle.
Yeah, that was a fun year going through and selecting the one that I thought best fit each person's personality. Yeah, that was good times.
Yeah, cool. So let's I don't know, this segment's over.
The end boss.
Now it is time for the end boss, where we talk about things that are exciting us in the world of video games around us. I'm just going to go in the order that people posted them here. Jala, what's going on with those luxury brands?
Weird crap. Okay, so it's kind of obvious that brands are increasingly working with other media, trying to partner up with other people, that kind of thing, such as Stranger Things. I don't watch TV or anything like that. However, I know about product placement is like a big deal in there. So anyway, what even is this? You can apparently date Colonel Sanders in a KFC dating sim.
Which is
That's
amazing.
Wait, what?
And, yes.
To be fair, that was only not my item because I couldn't find the original source for it. That's amazing.
Well, and the other thing, okay, that was just one example. Louis Vuitton.
What's the thing that makes you hate video games? I think I just found it.
Louis Vuitton now has a 3-year partnership with League of Legends to create virtual clothes for player avatars that, of course, you buy with actual money. And they're also releasing an LOL-inspired fashion collection and a custom-made trophy case for the esports final this November. And the CEO of the company said they like to be associated with the world's most coveted trophies. I just want to stab myself in the eye because
so now you can get shitty clothing in the virtual world, just like in the real world.
And there's going to be a League of Legends inspired line of fashion clothing also, which I'm not excited about that at all. I'm just like, my article is posted today because I'm like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Look, any model they send down the runway that doesn't have a positive KDA is a fraud.
Yeah, fake gamer model.
To be fair, that I think the only model to ever walk down the runway with a positive KDA has been Agent 42.
Agent 47, Klaus.
Or 47, whatever.
Helmut Krieger. He's at it again.
Well, and then like they had, what was it, Lightning, that was used as a model for an actual clothing brand as well.
Yeah, from Final Fantasy 13.
Yeah. So but anyway.
Yeah.
So it's back. It's still happening. It's happening more. The end. That's all.
It's all just about attention monopolization. The theory is people can't skip commercials when the content when the placement is in the content that they're trying to watch. I don't know. Like, fucking watch me. Guess what? I won't like engage with that content. So yeah. Oh
goodness.
That reminds me. Oh, New York Fashion Week just ended.
Oh, that's cool. A lot of statuesque people just strutting down the sidewalks.
Yeah, just getting random phone calls, photographs.
Yeah. That'd be pretty cool. As much as like that community is probably really toxic. I don't know. Cultural event, big city. Might be neat to be around. Nice. I've got one that's real brief. This is about video games insofar as it's about pinball. One of my things that I have noticed, especially since I've started playing more pinball, in the run up to the episode of WAF we did live about pinball games, is that spooky pinball is the best. As
hell yeah, it is.
As manifested by obviously Addams Family. Haunted House is a really good table. And the Monsters table is actually really good if you get a chance to play that. It's
Twilight Zone.
Yep. Twilight Zone's really good. Theater of Magic is marginally spooky. But some of my favorite spooky tables are the ones themed after Elvira, the video television, I guess, like movie jockey. Just a very buxom California lady who dressed up like a vampire and did commercial break presentations as they ran creature feature kind of things back in the late 80s, early 90s. There are two existing Elvira games, Elvira and the Party Monsters, and what is it, Elvira's I forget. It's like Scared Stiff or something like that.
Scared Stiff,
yeah. I like both of those. I know one is considered to be better than the other. I'm not partial. Like whatever one is there, I will play it. But Stern has announced that they are putting out a new Elvira pinball game, House of Horrors. and the video makes it look real good.
Yay! This looks fantastic.
Yeah. So something I like about it is that it doesn't seem to depend very much on the video screen. It is a very, busy playboard, lots of lines that it's expecting you to do. The centerpiece, like the main toy in it, is a big mansion that you are trying to break into. And you can go into like upper levels, like there's an attic. You can raise the stairs and then go underneath the stairs of the front door of the mansion, things like that. It looks really fun, and I am looking forward to seeing it out in the wild, maybe in Portland later this year or next year, something like that. But yeah, a new Elvira pinball machine 13 years after the last one. Yeah.
I'll be honest, I have no context for her outside of pinball tables. I've only ever seen her in a pinball table. Yeah. And they are amazing tables.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not 13 years, 23 years. Shit.
Holy shit.
Yeah. No, to 1996 to today. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, no, I keep on dropping a decade. Yeah. She's been involved in a few. She teamed up with a British PC game developer called HorrorSoft, and has had her face put on a couple of different games, just like released under the Elvira line. Fun campy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Into it. Let's see, going down here, Dennis, what's going on with Code Vein?
So can I actually jump ahead because mine kind of segues in that?
Yes. David, what is going on with your story?
This is in the Kole branded thing that exists. Although in this case, it's more specifically thing that Dennis should know exists.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen Creature? Huh?
Oh, I was just saying, hey.
Oh.
What should I know
exists? Have you seen any of the stuff for Creature in the Well?
No. What is this?
So basically, it's a game where you are a robot in a kind of pseudo post-apocalyptic world where you have to, there's a small town that has a, water, this vast kind of almost steampunk-esque water pump that, has been there for, since time immemorable. And so one day it breaks down. So you have to take up your trusty sword and, go in and determine what caused it to break. And you find out that some sort of, giant creature has taken up residency with the machinery. And in order to defeat it, you must, fight through a dungeon by basically playing a combination of Legend of Zelda and pinball. So,
hell yeah.
Yeah, so you have to, hit specific targets, using dangerous energy balls fired by enemies, pinball style. However, the way you actually aim them is literally by running your character around and swinging a sword Zelda style.
Mm-hmm.
It's apparently going to actually be, somewhat non-linear. So as you beat stages, you build up energy, which is what you use to open doorways. So you could potentially, like, if you get stuck, you could go back to other areas and beat them in order to, unlock branching paths, things like that. Also, apparently the monster, which until presumably the end of the game, you only see its two skeletal arms. Mm-hmm. Will occasionally you'll enter a room and it'll reach up, grab the room and pull it down, and you'll actually have a boss fight against the monster itself.
Nice.
So yeah, it looks really cool. The graphic style reminds me a lot of Hyperlight Drifter.
Yeah, it's 3D, but it has a limited color palette, very painterly kind of look, but a dry brush kind of stylization to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
aiming in this has to be easier than I'm thinking it is, because watching a video right now, it seems like it would be a nightmare to aim this well.
Yeah.
To get your character oriented right and then swing at the right time. And it looks like it might be more of a you hit the SWAT button and then hold maybe a directional stick to help yourself out. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things they said is part of the dungeon crawling aspect is you unlock different weapons. So I believe as example they gave is a weapon that basically splits the balls into multiples, so that's almost like a shotgun effect, or a weapon that slows down time, or like you said, causes the ball to stick to your sword, things like that. Mm-hmm. So I think it seems like it's going to be something where you'll kind of be switching up equipment and depending on what exactly you need to do in a given situation.
Nice.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah. No, I saw this on sale on Switch, and I was real intrigued by it. Yeah. Creature in the Well. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, Dennis, what is going on with Code Vein?
Yeah, so Code Vein is a new vampire dress-up game, and looks awesome. What it is? I've seen the trailers.
All right.
It's a vampire dress-up game. Okay. I will fight anyone who says otherwise. I'm excited for it. It looks amazing.
Yeah.
But Bandai Namco is making it, and as Vein in the title might imply, it is vampire themed. And they're doing a really interesting promotion for it, which is at TwitchCon. At TwitchCon in San Diego, they're going to hold a blood drive, and anyone who gives blood, and this is through a legit like American Red Cross, anyone who gives
just walk
blood,
up with a bucket.
Not quite. But you get a free copy of the game for giving blood. And so it's just like what a crazy, imaginative, really cool and cause-driven way to promote the game. I thought that was not a lot to the story, just a really cool idea.
Yeah.
I would totally do that. Give some blood to get the game.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that's like, I wonder how many games they're planning on giving away. Like, how do you forecast demand for that kind of promotion?
So I think that they just knew, okay, here's how many donations we can realistically take within a day at this event. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they figured, okay, like that probably amounts to maybe 50 copies of the game that we're gonna give away at TwitchCon. So people will play this and advertise our game for us for free. Not to be so cynical about it, but I think that it worked out good for everybody involved. I completely believe that math is going on. Here's the thing, though. You're at a convention with gamers and min-maxers. Like, all right, guys, we're going to get our INR really high, so our blood is flowing super fast. We're all going to go in and like get a pump going right before we give blood and churn out copies of this game. These aren't so much gamers; these are media personalities. I don't know that they're smart enough.
Oh, they're
I'd
not.
say this is a media personality.
Yeah. So I am entertained by the idea of how you would game this system. Mm-hmm. And again, just a cool thing that is happening. And I can't wait to dress up my vampire.
Yeah.
Yay.
Awesome. And Ben, do you have a story?
Ain't got shit.
Attaboy.
Someone's got to represent for the 300th episode.
Yeah.
Yep.
How do you all feel about buttoning it up?
I feel
let's button
buttoned.
this.
The credit.
Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to level number 300. We're super happy to have you here. It's been a lot of fun getting here, starting back as college radio and then a way for us to keep in touch. And then a way for us to, engage more with all of you out there, and Jala, you hopping in and getting to know you and all of this stuff. It's been wonderful. I've really enjoyed it, and I got to say we're halfway done. 300, right? We're halfway. Yeah. I made that joke like most of our shows like hit milestones at roughly the same time, and I make that same joke every time. But I want people to think. Oh yeah, I guess I want people to get anxious. Yeah.
We have a pact that we're going to end on episode 666, right? That's what this has all been, a summoning ritual. That was my understanding.
Yeah, no, we're going to summon Haster. It'll be awesome.
We have to at least go another 20 years so we can do another meta Toady.
Ooh, yes.
That's right.
Another 20. Oh, man. Yeah, the tournament will be won. So, that's all that I have.
The level going to have a quarter quell? I don't understand.
I don't know. Yeah, that's all that I have to say. The usual stuff. Most of all, we just want you to come back next week. We love having you here. Is there anything I'm forgetting?
No, this has been awesome.
Yeah. Cool. So I've been Kole Ross. You can watch my streams on Twitch at Duckfeed.tv.
I've been Dennis Furia. You can find me on Twitter at deck_of_wonders. And then on Twitch at Deck of Wonders as well.
Cool.
For 300 episodes, I've been David Myersmith. We'll see about the next 300.
And I am Jala-chan in all the places.
And I'm
At
Ben
least
Merkel.
300 places.
And I'm Ben Merkel at Merkleby on Twitch.
And stick around for some titles. So I didn't write any down. Gonna come out with that at the start here.
Playing the
I
numbers
didn't
game
write
since
any
there's 4
down
others.
either.
Yeah.
I got some for you.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Okay. All right.
So two are appropriately for episode 300. Two are Warframe themed.
Okay.
Actually, no. The first one is not. It's Borderlands 3 themed.
Okay.
So my first one is the guy who has robots. The second one is Lithe Ninja Men.
Okay.
And then the third one is Dropping a Decade.
I like that one, although I know I said it. So
No, I will strongly advocate for that one. That's my favorite of the three.
yeah.
So-
Good.
I only had one. I had This Is a Stupid Show, you guys.
I like that. Actually.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I have one, but I don't even want to enter it because I like David's.
Yeah. Yeah. David's wins by David's wins by reaction.
What Ben's would have been.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mine was Consensual Attack, which I do, which I like, but I like David's much better.
Cool. This is a stupid show, you guys. It's you guys that makes it. Cool.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I'm going to go to bed.
Here's to more of this stupid show.
Yeah.
Yep.
You guys are out.
Yeah.
Hey, good night, y'all.
Good night, everybody. Have a wonderful week.
You too.
Definitely.
Later.
Peace.
Peace.